With us now are Mark and Cathy, and they are with the MTAC, and we're going to be talking about substance abuse, its prevention, and hopefully its cure. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for having us.
The MTAC stands for?
Massapequa Takes Action Coalition.
Why Massapequa? Why did it start in Massapequa? What was the foundation for it?
Well, it's really everywhere, but the bottom line is that Massapequa was certainly high on the list of communities with loss, young people who were being lost to addiction and to overdose. And with that, we felt more and more that we needed to do something to address it. But this goes back to 1997 when the coalition first started. And at that point, we got information from a survey in the school district and partnered with the school district to start to address programs and things that could be done in the community. And it's grown since then to what it is now.
Your school district has always been strong in academics, very strong in academics. And addiction is something that crosses all economic groups, right? It's not just wealthy, poor, you know, people have so many misconceptions. Is part of the coalition's responsibility to help educate? Is that something that you guys take on, and how do you implement that?
Part of our mission is to promote healthy families, and so we really try to start working with parents and families at an early age to really understand that the brain is fully developed at doesn't fully develop until age 25. And also with the opioid epidemic, we were out throughout the Massapequas providing opioid prevention education as well as naloxone training to prevent an overdose. Whether it's Massapequa, Deer Park, Brentwood, Rockville Center, there are many coalitions that are doing the work that we do in trying to help kids grow up healthy and safe.
It's really across the entire United States.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons I wanted to invite you on is that I feel that you guys can help empower other communities to make a difference. You recently were awarded a grant. Tell us about that experience and how we can help you with that.
Well, we've actually gotten 2 grants now. The first grant we got was in 2014, and that was specific to heroin and prescription drugs. And you know, the misunderstanding that a lot of people have is because it's a prescription drug, it's safe. And the bottom line is it is safe if it's taken the way it's prescribed and by the person it was prescribed to. But so often we know that there are people who are taking that who weren't given the prescription or who aren't really following the directions of the prescription. And there are lots of alternatives to pain medication, and we're really trying to work with the medical community to offer more alternatives. But the bottom line is that it has grown since then, and in 2019, we got a grant called the Drug Free Communities Grant, which allows us to expand beyond heroin prescription drugs to include underage drinking, marijuana use, vaping, as well as any other substances that we're concerned about.
So when we worked under the New York State Office on Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services grant to address opioids, what we found in the course of researching student information and community conditions, we found that kids are starting to use alcohol, marijuana, as well as prescription drugs before the age of 15.
Which is the gateway, right? That's the gateway items.
Correct. And the other thing that we found, you know, in terms of kids had access to drugs in the home, 71% of young adults were actually getting these drugs in the home and misusing them. And on top of that, we found that 33% of our kids, before they left high school, were being prescribed an opioid for injury or surgery. Remember, why Massapequa? The issue can become partially injuries, surgeries, and it's why not any other community, and it is every community across New York State, the country, and Long Island. So it's not just Massapequa, it's everywhere USA that is experiencing this. So with the opioid grant, we were able to apply for the drug-free grant, which we're now addressing underage drinking as well as marijuana misuse in the community, because again, kids are starting to use before the age of 15, and when you start using before the age of 15, you can be as much as 7 times more likely to use a substance abuse issue later in life.
What joyous moments have either of you witnessed because of your efforts?
Joyous moments. I think that, you know, as much as it's a challenge for people who have lost somebody, to know that they're being welcomed and accepted, that they're allowed to talk about it, that they are given permission to reach out to other people and share. And we've had a couple of meetings where we've had community meetings, and what was the name of the meeting that we did, Massapequa Talks.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a community forum to come together and to hear people share their stories and talk about their loss and talk about, you know, what they're doing about it. And we certainly have some people in the community who have lost family members and have come back to be strong advocates for the issue and for the concerns that they have. And then obviously one of the things that we do is the naloxone trainings and the Narcan trainings. And for somebody to have that ability to respond to a family member, or even when it's not a family member, and give them some help, some assistance, and keep them alive is a phenomenal experience to be able to do that for somebody.
It's so important. My 14-year-old came home from school the other day, and they had a person coming in and talking about addiction. And I remember learning CPR, right? When we had seminars. And here they are, they're having real conversations about drug addiction and substance abuse and why vaping's bad, because the oil goes into your lungs and your lung cannot disseminate, you know, those types of things. And it's important to talk about it. How are you out in the community? PTA meetings and other ways, how are you making a difference out there?
We're at PTA meetings. We are going door to door to businesses. We have advertising on the train trestles, trying to get folks to understand they need to secure, monitor, and dispose of their prescription drugs.
Let's go through that again, Cathy. It's secure, monitor, and dispose. Okay.
And every Nassau County, as well as Suffolk County police precinct, will accept drugs in there. Usually they're kept, they have a box in the lobby, and all you have to do is walk in and deposit the drugs there. But one of the other things you mentioned is, how are we going out to the community? Part of coalition work is the importance of engaging others in that work.
Okay.
And we also work with the National Guard. And just to tell you what's happening today, you know, we talked about prescription pain relievers back when we first started in 2014 and 15. Today, everything's being laced with fentanyl, and we're seeing far more fentanyl overdoses than we were the actual pills back in 2014-15. But one of the partners we work with is the National Guard, and they go out and do community scans, and they frequently find vaping pods that are having traces of fentanyl, methamphetamine, as well as heroin and marijuana in them. So these new devices that are out there are not only delivering nicotine, but they are delivering even harder substances and deadly substances like fentanyl.
What's the first step for somebody to help you? Whether they have an addiction, whether they know somebody that has an addiction, or whether they're just a good, concerned citizen that wants to help support you, how can we get involved?
One of the best ways to get involved is to just come out to meetings, to learn more about it, and then to bring other people with them to those meetings. We need to have conversations. You know, there's so often parents feel isolated in this situation, and they don't talk about it with their friends, and they don't talk about it with other people. And it's so important to lose those stigmas and just really come out and start talking about what's going on in your house, what's going on how do you parent, how do you go about it? You're concerned about your child, what are you doing, how are you going about that, and how can we as a community, you know, and nobody wants to talk about their neighbors having a party, but that's where the kids are getting the drugs. That's where the kids are getting the alcohol.
So one of the great things about partnering with Yes Community Counseling Center is that we've trained over 800 residents in the Massapequas to be able to administer naloxone, but also understand what is the problem behind someone becoming addicted to opioids. We also work with Yes and implement active parenting now for both K through 6 parents and 7 through 12 active parenting of teens. So we're providing other means of helping parents communicate with their kids so that we can have discussions at our family tables, as well as transferring them into the community, which is very important.
And also offering a replacement almost with literacy. You know, if you're going to be addicted to something, maybe help them change that addiction into something positive for them. So
we just did a whole campaign on the marijuana and vaping and so forth, and we really want parents to talk with their kids. And when we have as many as half of the population saying, I can't remember the last time my parent had a conversation with me about this, well, that's not a comfortable place. We want parents to have these conversations, and it's an ongoing conversation.
We see in Massapequa only about 60% of parents are talking with their kids in the past year. It's one of our data points that we talk about. But that number is also true for Nassau County parents as well as New York State parents. So again, when you say, why Massapequa? It's everywhere New York State, everywhere USA. And we need to help families be stronger, be able to communicate better together, and to really help kids. Let's get them graduated from high school and college and to pursue their dreams.
Well, we thank you very, very much for being here and for the good work that you're doing in the
Thank you.
community. So continue to fight on behalf of all of us. We truly appreciate your efforts.
Thank you for having us.
If you'd like to know more, please go to their website, go to one of their meetings, make a difference in your life as well as in the life of another. Thanks for watching.